I had a moment when I was doing a little bit of doom scrolling through YouTube Shorts. I'm beginning to find that pretty appealing because the algorithm is getting to the point where it back to back shows me things that are actually relevant to me and my interests. And one of them had to be a doctor who was describing how animals are literally saving people's lives. It has to do with things like improving their mood, serving as emotional support, serving as security systems for the house. I said to myself, I can relate to the note of how having an animal at home has been beneficial for me, and I don't believe I have ever officially described this before, so I thought I would make that happen today. So I have had a cat in the house continuously since 2010, with a slight disruption in the year between the end of 2013 and the beginning of 2014. I had like that little gap period because that's when I was moving to my new area. Therefore, our cat had to stay in our hometown, and it took a while for us to get another one. I can tell you that when I had a cat that was an outdoor cat in 2004, it was a pretty miserable time because I had really bad asthma at the time. And I vividly remember how my eyes were watery, I was sneezing a lot, my throat felt like, I don't want to say it was closing up, but it had like that itchy feeling. And it was just an absolute terrible immune response. But after a few years, I observed that for some reason I could get close to a cat after I cleaned them, after I gave them a nice little bath. And I used to think that if I gave them a bath, the smell of their shampoo was going to trigger my allergies. Just like from time to time, certain shampoos, especially if I changed them, it would trigger some allergies because of the perfumes in them. But if anything, after having a cat, I can tell you that I did not struggle with my allergies quite as bad at home like I used to. I feel like at home, I was continuously having sneezing episodes that were incessant, but I like to credit the cat because I'm telling you, it seems to be the common denominator. After I didn't have a cat, I felt the allergies were slowly creeping in. And then if I went more than a few months without having a cat around, I'm guessing my body forgot to have immunity to cats. And then I would have like that slight itch for a little bit, but it wouldn't hit me as bad as the first time around. And eventually, I learned that cats will trigger allergies because it's the chemicals in their saliva that actually causes it. It's not fur. I grew up thinking that their fur is what triggered allergies, but it turns out that it's their saliva. You're allergic to their saliva more than the actual fur. And that made a lot of sense when I thought about how after I gave cats baths, that mess was neutralized. So, anyway, under the comment of that short that I ran into, I left my own response and I thought I would share what I left in there in an effort to keep my thoughts as organized as possible during this video. So, I'm just going to read over it. I have consistently had an indoor cat resident since 2010 with a temporary disruption from mid 2013 till mid 2014. I'll never forget some stuff I was reading about the benefits of pets back in the year 2012ish. I can attest to how I feel relaxed. I'm more aware of my tension because I know they feel my tension and their behavior is disrupted, so it encourages me to chill out. And by their behavior is disrupted, I mean that I can tell Dusty is aware that I'm sad or stressed out because his demeanor changes a little bit. And he will turn into, you could say, consoling mode, like the times when I have actually physically had meltdowns. I remember my cat 2 cats ago, Nico, he used to do that. If I was bawling my eyes out for some reason, he would look for ways to comfort me. And I noticed that all of the cats I've had, they really like to study my face. They will be staring at me. I try to not stare back because I understand the whole don't look at cats in the eyes, it's a sign of aggression type of thing. But at least with me personally, the only cat I can say was like that was Nero, which was the cat before Dusty. You guys know that he was super antisocial if you're an OG here on the channel, but he was a mess. And I can tell you that Nico, I thought of him as my literal cat husband because, oh my god, we had the perfect chemistry. But something that he liked to do a lot was he would immediately be on the spots that I had just been in, say my piano chair, the spot on the kitchen table that I like to sit in, my spot in the couch I like to sit in. And mom told me that when I was out traveling one time, that Nico lost his fucking mind. He kept yowling and yowling, looking for me, going exactly to all the spots I would go to in the daytime and nighttime at the same time that I would have been there. And it was pretty surprising, pretty cool. And as soon as I came back, that animal did not know what to do with himself. He immediately pretty much leapt on me. And if he wouldn't have been so fat at the time, he probably would have jumped onto my hands. But he definitely did that thing where he got on his hind legs and placed his little front paws on my knees. And then I was like, hi, Nico, greeting him and all that. And like I said, that cat did not know what to do. I didn't even have him as small as I had Dusty. I had Dusty when he was a kitten. And Nico, I had him when he was already a year old, but somehow he bonded with me to the extreme. Another thing I notice about cats is they will eliminate anything that moves that isn't a person. Any ants, any bugs, any sort of spider, anything, they will completely eliminate it. I never again had asthma issues, only had spring allergies here and there, but nothing as severe as what I had when I was younger. Petting them and generally caring for them felt like contributing to my home's development. Though we cannot reason with them, you just know that they can pick up on your changes and they take it with grace in the same manner as they age. We perceive things. With Dusty, I'm observing certain changes already, given that he's definitely up there in cat age. And to give an example of how they can pick up on changes, when my mom had her surgeries where she had her hips replaced, Dusty, I guess he saw that mom wasn't moving the same. And I feel like he can distinguish between people who are older and you could say fragile versus people who are younger and stronger. And I notice how with me, he'll have a certain roughness when playing, but with mom, he seemed to hold back. And with my boyfriend, he can definitely exhibit that toughness behavior as well. And after mom's surgery, he wanted to spend a lot of time sniffing her hips. And sometimes he would think of leaping onto mom's lap, but he would stop himself. And I think it's because since mom was trying to be careful and avoid potential injuries post op, I think Dusty either understood that something about mom changed because maybe he could smell all that stuff going on, or he was just curious and he wanted to check it out. But because mom would keep him away, then I guess he figured. But undoubtedly, you could tell the difference between how he behaves, how rough he is, I guess, with some people, and how he'll be a little sweeter with other people. And when it comes to children, I don't think we had Dusty at the time that mom did some babysitting here and there. But I cannot tell you how Dusty behaves around children. That's never been a factor over here. I feel like children, because of the tone in their voices, how they have a higher pitch and they sound like this and a little softer, then I don't think they would perceive them as threatening. They are a season in our lives, but to them, we are their whole world. And another thing I can tell you, another pet that we had, and this pet makes me kind of sad, but this was more mom's tradition, I guess. My mom liked betta fish. We used to buy them from Walmart, and of course, after some point, they would die. But we found it appealing to be able to buy them and upgrade them to a bigger bowl, a bigger living space. And I think the longest one we had living was like 2 years, 3 years. Somehow, some of them could live a little longer, but some of them wouldn't do so well. And it always broke my heart when we would try to pick one up and some of them wouldn't move because they were belly up, deceased. But other times we could look at some of them and they wouldn't have much energy. But then there were some that as soon as you looked at them and you picked them up, you would start seeing their little fins flapping around. And I thought, okay, this one looks like he has a lot of life. And I feel bad because we used to pick them, of course, on the basis of color. Sometimes I would want the blue one, sometimes I would want the reddish looking one. And I'm like, this is technically fish discrimination. We always had one and always felt so bad whenever they would die. We would get them from Walmart and we always thought how sad they looked, so our motivation was upgrading them to a bigger fishbowl. I sometimes felt they were a pointless pet. I always think that about fish because can you pet a fish? Can you cuddle with them or something like that? And then I looked at it as I have to learn to observe living beings as they don't necessarily exist to do something for me. They don't exist to bring me pleasure directly. I need to look at some of them as they have some kind of impediment, say access to their natural habitat, and therefore I have to provide them with the fresh water and the food so that they live and so I can ensure their survival for a little longer than maybe they might trapped in a grocery store. See what I mean? I sometimes felt that they were a pointless pet, but I appreciate now that it helped me with not devaluing nor debasing them because they were a different pet with different needs. And now that I'm reading this, I notice some of my typos. Grr, I don't think I can find this short. I don't remember the name of it, and it's been some weeks now. The most important mission was to make sure the cat was never aware of their existence. And then I wrote like 7 dots. Dot, 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 dot. We only failed that mission once, but it was a very well learned lesson. Yes, my cat Nico ended up discovering one of our fish. I think it was because once in a while something would happen with betta fish to where they would move in a way that would cause water to splash. And any sound of splashing water will always attract a cat's attention. Despite us having this fish on top of a fridge that you wouldn't think would be accessible to a cat, especially a fat cat, well, that didn't stop Nico. And one afternoon, we came back from, it was either shopping or we were somewhere. We came back and we noticed that Nico was right next to the fishbowl and that he was licking his paws. At some other point, we noticed that the fish behavior changed. It would try to hide behind the decor that was inside of its fishbowl. And then eventually we kept noticing, we figured that something was causing the water to deplete. And it turns out that Nico was drinking the water because one morning we caught him drinking the water, and I remember mom going like, look, the cat's drinking the fish water. And anyway, so we did that. We figured he was doing that. We gave him discipline like, Nico, no, don't do that. And we tried to keep him away, and we thought we had secured the fish bowl, But one evening, we came back from visiting my godfather. He ate it. And I still remember that so vividly how what ended up happening was the cat found the fish. I don't remember exactly where we put it. We had him in, I guess, some kind of shelf. He was somewhere. I don't remember where. But anyway, we came back and the fish bowl was shattered on the floor. And of course, all the decor and everything was everywhere. And there was this giant puddle, but there was no fish, no carcass, nothing. He ate it. Well, there you guys have it. That's it from me. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have had an aquarium in the past, but it's been a very long time since we had one of those. I sincerely don't remember them very well. But for me personally, fish and birds are pointless pets because I just don't like the idea of them being trapped. Fish are supposed to be able to roam freely in bodies of water, and then birds can be on both land or air. And for you to have limbs that enable you to fly, but you can't really fly like you're supposed to because you're trapped, I don't know, that just gives me a really bad feeling. With a cat, at least, sure, Dusty is a prisoner to this apartment, but at least he can move about. He can roam around here and there. And I have tried to take him outside, but he chickens out, so clearly he might not love it out there. I don't expect him to at this point. He's been pretty much raised indoors the whole time. But yeah, pets are very useful. And just like many months ago, I made a video about how I met someone who hated pets. I mean, I get it. Some people may have traumatic experiences with them, either from a bite or maybe they murdered another one of your pets or something. I don't know, anything. They hurt your child, whatever. But try to remain objective. Cats will do cat things. Dogs will do dog things. Bears will do bear things. Stop saying that the ocean is infested by sharks. They live there. Okay? Maybe it's the ocean infested by humans. But yeah, I think that my pets, all of them, have taught me something. Something about themselves as a species, but also something about me. Sometimes I feel like they help me stay in check whenever I felt like I was neglecting them. I would tell myself, me having a tough time is not an excuse for them to not be getting proper attention. And Dusty, for instance, in recent times, I feel like he overwhelms me because not only is his stuff expensive, but obviously he'll make messes here and there because he is behaving as a frustrated cat because I'm not always here and my boyfriend is not always here either. He gets lonely. He's very, very attached. He was the cuddliest and the most clingy out of his litter. He was the cat I needed at the time that I had Nero, but Nero rejected my ass like you have no idea. He was completely antisocial. You couldn't pet him, you couldn't pick him up. He would hide from you, he would hiss at me. I've never had cats hissing at me continuously, but Nero, we picked him up when he was small, stray from a house that we were told, hey, if you're looking for a cat, there's this one cat with his mom who's trying to survive being out there. Come get him. And he also had major flea issues, and it took me a while to help him with that shit. But like I said, I mean, Nero maybe naturally had that personality. He was a medium hair, completely black, green eyes. The circumstances he had in his first few months of life, they were not the best. So I can understand why he would have issues like that and maybe he wouldn't open up to people. But I just said, okay, I can't deal with you anymore. I had to surrender him. So, but anyway, he seemed to have upgraded to a slightly better life than he had with me. So, what can I say? Okay, let me know about any pet stories you may have. Bye.